Welcome to my YouTube channel History Through Times.
The night was dark and still over Baghdad International Airport. The air was thick with anticipation, unknown to most, as planes landed and took off under the cloak of darkness. Little did anyone know, this ordinary night was about to become a pivotal moment in modern history. January 3rd, 2020. A seemingly normal date on the calendar, ticking away like any other. But this day would be etched in the annals of time, remembered for the seismic event it unleashed. A date that irrevocably changed the landscape of the Middle East, setting in motion a chain of events that continue to reverberate today. An American MQ-9 Reaper drone, a silent hunter in the night sky, circled with cold precision above, its sensors locked onto its target. It was targeting a convoy, a small group of vehicles moving through the airport vicinity, carrying a passenger of immense importance. Inside one of those vehicles was Qasem Soleimani, Iran's most powerful general, the architect of its regional influence and a figure both revered and feared. In a blinding flash of light and a deafening roar, he was gone. The strike was swift, decisive, and utterly transformative. The order to eliminate Soleimani came directly from President Trump, a high-stakes gamble with potentially catastrophic consequences. It was a move that reverberated across the globe, shocking allies and adversaries alike, and instantly ratcheting up tensions in an already volatile region. The White House defended the action, calling it a defensive measure, justified by the threat Soleimani posed to American lives and interests. They claimed Soleimani was actively planning imminent attacks on U.S. personnel and facilities, leaving them with no other choice but to act preemptively. But in the complex and often unpredictable landscape of the Middle East, even the most carefully calculated actions rarely go as planned. The strike was like a stone thrown into a seemingly calm pond. The initial splash was dramatic, but the true impact lay in the unseen ripples that spread outwards. And those ripples, the consequences of that fateful night, are still spreading, touching every corner of the region and beyond. For Iran, the assassination of Soleimani was not just a military strike. It was a profound act of war, a direct assault on their sovereignty and national pride. Millions of Iranians poured into the streets to mourn Soleimani, their grief a potent mix of sorrow and rage. And the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, vowed swift and decisive revenge against those responsible for his death. Iran's response was not long in coming, a barrage of missile strikes targeting U.S. military bases in Iraq, a clear demonstration of their capabilities and resolve. Miraculously, there were no fatalities, but over 100 American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, a testament to the intensity of the attack. But what was the real, lasting impact of Soleimani's death? Soleimani was instantly transformed into a martyr, a symbol of resistance against American imperialism. His death fueled anti-American sentiment across the region, galvanizing support for hardliners and strengthening Iran's resolve to pursue its regional ambitions. The already fragile nuclear deal, painstakingly negotiated over years, was effectively shattered, its future hanging by a thread. Iran responded by accelerating its uranium enrichment program, signaling its conviction that further negotiation with the West was futile. The strike on Soleimani didn't end a threat. In many ways, it amplified it, creating new and unforeseen challenges. It created a legend, a powerful symbol that continues to inspire and motivate those who seek to challenge American influence in the region. And it set the stage for many of the conflicts and tensions we see unfolding in the Middle East today. The ghost of Soleimani continues to haunt the region, a constant reminder of the unresolved tensions and the ever-present threat of escalation. His image has become a rallying cry, a potent symbol of resistance that resonates from the streets of Tehran all the way to Beirut, Lebanon, and beyond. And the world is still grappling with the far-reaching consequences of that single, fateful strike. July 2025. A date etched in the annals of a conflict that has been simmering for decades. The shadow war between Iran and Israel, a clandestine dance of espionage and sabotage, is now a brutal, open conflict. The gloves are off, and the region braces for impact. What began as covert sabotage, whispers in the dark, and deniable operations has escalated to direct military exchanges, a dangerous game of tit-for-tat that threatens to spiral out of control. Missiles streak across the sky, drones buzz like angry hornets, and cyber attacks cripple critical infrastructure. The battleground is no longer confined to the shadows. It's out in the open, a digital and physical war zone. Israel strikes Iranian assets in Syria and Lebanon, targeting weapons depots and strategic outposts, attempting to degrade Iran's regional influence. Iran retaliates with swarms of drones, a coordinated aerial assault designed to overwhelm Israeli defenses and inflict maximum damage. Testing Israel's Iron Dome, pushing its capabilities to the limit, probing for weaknesses in its impenetrable shield. Gaza and Lebanon are flashpoints, volatile regions simmering with tension, ready to erupt at any moment. Hezbollah, armed with over 150,000 rockets, a formidable arsenal amassed over years of preparation, threatens Israel's cities, holding its civilian population hostage to the escalating conflict. In Syria, Iran's Revolutionary Guard cements its presence, solidifying its foothold in the war-torn nation, turning ruins into military outposts, transforming the landscape into a network of strategic assets. The digital front is just as fierce, a silent battle waged in the shadows of the internet. Iranian hackers target Israel's infrastructure, attempting to disrupt essential services and sow chaos among the population. While Israel's Unit 8200 hits back, unleashing its own arsenal of digital weapons, at Iran's nuclear and oil facilities, aiming to cripple its economy and halt its nuclear ambitions. The nuclear threat looms, a dark cloud hanging over the entire region. Iran edges closer to weapons-grade uranium. The red lines are blurring, and the international community watches with growing alarm. Israel debates a preemptive strike, weighing the catastrophic consequences of inaction against the risks of military intervention. The world watches, anxious as the drums of war beat louder, and the specter of nuclear conflict looms large. As two bitter enemies edge toward nuclear confrontation, a scenario that could have devastating consequences for the entire planet. Every skirmish risks igniting a regional war, drawing in other nations and destabilizing the already fragile Middle East. The stakes have never been higher. The future of the region, and perhaps the world, hangs in the balance. The Middle East is a powder keg, and the fuse has been lit. The next move could change everything, setting off a chain reaction that no one can control. The world holds its breath, praying for a miracle, hoping that cooler heads will prevail before it's too late. As the crisis deepens, a familiar figure returns to the spotlight: Donald Trump. No longer president, his voice still shapes the debate, his every word dissected from Tehran to Jerusalem. He claims credit for the maximum pressure campaign, while blaming the current administration for chaos. In Israel, many see him as their staunchest ally, hoping his return means tougher action against Iran. This belief emboldens Israeli hawks, making diplomacy harder. Trump's rhetoric pushes the region closer to the edge, his unpredictability both a weapon and a risk. Supporters see him as a strongman who can force Iran to back down. Critics fear his impulsiveness could spark disaster. Is Trump the firefighter or the arsonist? The answer may decide the region's fate. The world braces for his next move. Under increasing pressure, both economic and political, Iran has adapted its strategies and refined its tactics, shifting away from direct military confrontation, which carries significant risks of escalation and international backlash. Iran has transitioned to a more sophisticated, multi-layered strategy, one that leverages both state and non-state actors to achieve its regional objectives. At its core lies what they call the axis of resistance, a complex network of proxies and allies strategically positioned throughout the Middle East. This network stretches from Lebanon in the north down to Yemen in the south, giving Iran a broad reach across the region. Iran actively supplies these groups with weapons, provides crucial training in military tactics, and offers strategic guidance to further their goals. It's important to remember that its proxies, while aligned with Iran, also have their own distinct agendas, driven by local concerns and aspirations. These groups are deeply embedded within their local communities, drawing strength from grassroots support and regional populations. Furthermore, Russia and China offer crucial support to Iran, providing access to advanced technology, particularly in the military and cyber domains. They also offer vital economic lifelines, helping to mitigate the impact of sanctions and provide diplomatic cover on the international stage. Hezbollah in Lebanon, a powerful and well-equipped force, Shiite militias in Iraq, wielding significant influence within the country, and the Houthis in Yemen, defying international pressure and controlling key territory, all serve to extend Iran's reach far beyond its own borders. This intricate web of alliances and proxies complicates its enemies' calculations, making it difficult to predict and counter Iran's actions effectively. This proxy strategy also gives Iran a degree of plausible deniability, allowing it to distance itself from certain actions. This keeps adversaries constantly off balance, unsure of how to respond without triggering a wider conflict. When attacks occur, they can be conveniently blamed on local actors, masking Tehran's involvement, even as Tehran subtly but surely pulls the strings from behind the scenes. The result is a constant, low-level bleed of resources and stability across the region. This constant drain is particularly felt by Iran's foes, effectively draining their resources, diverting attention, and creating widespread turmoil. Iran's influence, deeply rooted and multifaceted, can't simply be bombed away through conventional military action, nor can it be sanctioned into submission through economic pressure and diplomatic isolation. It's a war of 1,000 cuts, a strategy of attrition. It's slow, relentless, and ultimately a highly effective way to exert influence and achieve strategic objectives. The playbook has changed significantly, adapting to the evolving geopolitical landscape. But despite the shift in tactics, the underlying threat remains a persistent challenge to regional stability and international security. The nuclear question overshadows every move in this conflict. Since the collapse of the 2015 nuclear deal, Iran has raced ahead with uranium enrichment. International inspectors have less access. Iran's intentions are murkier than ever. Officially, it's for energy. In reality, Iran is close to nuclear breakout, weeks, not years from a bomb. This ambiguity is a shield, deterring attacks and emboldening Iran's regional ambitions. Would Israel or the US risk a strike that could trigger a nuclear response? The world's response has been fractured. Diplomacy stalled, sanctions ineffective. Europe hopes for a deal, but lacks leverage. The US is stuck between pressure and paralysis. Calls for military action grow louder, especially from Israel. The world faces a terrible choice. Accept a nuclear Iran or risk catastrophic war. The clock is ticking, the stakes are existential. Beyond bombs and missiles, the Strait of Hormuz is the world's economic jugular. 1/5 of global oil passes through this narrow waterway. Iran's Revolutionary Guard patrols it, ready to disrupt shipping at a moment's notice. Any conflict here could send oil prices skyrocketing, triggering a global recession. The threat of mines, drones, and missiles keeps the world on edge. Iran doesn't need to win a naval battle, just create enough chaos to halt oil flow. The US and allies have superior navies, but protecting every tanker is nearly impossible. The fear of economic collapse shapes every decision in Washington, Brussels, and Beijing. The strait is a pressure point, and Iran's hand is always on it. The world's prosperity hangs in the balance. As the US election nears, Trump's possible return could send the region down two paths. One, de-escalation, with Trump brokering a grand bargain. Sanctions relief for a tougher deal. The other, rapid escalation, with Trump responding forcefully to any Iranian provocation. His unpredictability is both asset and liability. A miscalculation could trigger all-out war. Hezbollah unleashed, the strait closed, the region in flames. Iran would retaliate with everything it has, dragging in regional powers. The costs, human, economic, geopolitical, would be staggering. The choice between dealmaker and warmonger is terrifyingly unclear. The world waits, uncertain which Trump will emerge, the stakes peace or catastrophe. Beneath the headlines, millions live with the daily terror of this conflict. In Israel, families rush to bomb shelters. In Lebanon, economic collapse and war fears paralyze hope. In Syria and Iraq, people are caught between foreign powers and militias, yearning for normalcy. In Iran, sanctions and repression crush opportunity, while hardliners tighten their grip. Protests flare, but conflict only strengthens the regime's hand. Ordinary people, Iranians, Israelis, Arabs, want safety, opportunity, and freedom. Instead, they're trapped by leaders' ambitions and endless cycles of violence. Every missile and drone strike deepens the wounds, pushing peace further away. The human cost is the true tragedy of this conflict. Summer 2025. The region stands at a precipice, haunted by the ghost of a single drone strike. The next moves, by nations or leaders, could reshape the century. Is the future decided by strategy, by the whims of powerful men, or by the deep currents of history and revenge? Is this just another chapter in an endless cycle, or can someone break the loop? The path ahead is foggy, peace or devastation, reconciliation or war. The only certainty, decisions made now will echo for decades. Who, if anyone, can seize control before it's too late?